Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this classic wooden motor cruiser here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie, all the while fixing it up for some pretty extensive cruising someday. So if that's a thing you might be interested in, please consider sticking around and subscribing. We'd love to have you. So what are we up to this week? Yes, you know that I should have been doing bright work on the boat. Well, combination of it being incredibly hot or pouring rain like it is today has made that difficult, but I think I have something in mind that will help with both of those. Well then folks, what does a fellow who lives on a wooden boat need with two pieces of 12-foot 2x12 Douglas fir? The first clue is that it is ridiculously hot here these days. Let's lug these down the dock. Okay, no more clothes until I change into some cooler clothing. Okay, and your second clue. And if that didn't do it, your final clue is this $36 butyl vinyl backed pure canvas painter's drop cloth. I know you can see where this is going. So yes, a new bimini of some sort, and something. It's a mock-up. As you can tell, I'm making it out of Douglas fir and a drop cloth, but I want it to look a little bit, maybe more period, more traditional, something that might have suited the boat a little bit better, not stainless steel hoops and green canvas. So I'm not quite sure. It's in my head. I'm going to make this up as I go along. I know it's going to have posts, disregard that stainless one, and two beams running fore and aft, and I'd like the beams to basically follow the curve of the cabin top. So I've laid one of the big planks down here on the deck, and I'm just going to scribe this line onto it. This is all very fluid. Okay, somewhere in all those chicken scratches is a curve. Let's cut it. Peter, curb your enthusiasm. Let's mark off everything and do all the cutting at once. Really, I need to wait for the wind to drop a little bit so I can manage sawdust a little bit better. Okay, so the other plank will be ripped into the curved bows that will cross across, and well, to do that, it's standard long measuring tape arc drawing. Hello, friend. How have you been, buddy boy? I don't know about you, but I'm getting used to just hanging around with swans. Is that unusual? I don't know. All right then, so you can probably see what I'm up to. I'm going to take this plank and cut it into the various bows. Well, the bows are going to be 1.5 inches wide because that's how wide the plank is, and 1.5 inches tall because that's how much I think I can justify being strong enough but not using too much wood. So to cut all those arcs out of this, I basically just take a long measuring tape, hook into the dock, and select the magic number for the radius. Well, I want to have a 4-inch bow in these bows. In other words, it's 4 inch higher in the middle than at the edges. Through the magic of computing technology, that's told me I have a radius of 30 feet 6 inches. So from the very top edge of this plank to the end of the hook is 30 feet 6 inches. All I need to do is draw an arc. Not quite yet. I have to make sure that the hook is exactly perpendicular to the center line of the 9-foot piece of this plank that I'm going to use as to cut the bows. Now, simply lining it up with this mark here is not enough. I'll just line it up with both corners to make sure it's square. You don't need to watch that. Okay, I've determined that it is now perpendicular. It is time to draw the arcs. So I simply put this right at this point and draw an arc. How easy can it be? Okay, that's so simple. Okay then, so now it's just a matter of cutting 1.5 inch offsets all the way through until I've got all my pieces cut, or most of them anyway. Aren't these delightful? All right, then, this is going absolutely brilliantly. Now you will notice on the last one, I don't actually have 1.5 inches at the end here, but that's okay because I'm going to put a little detail where I carve the other. I'm maxing out every ounce of this wood. Oh, yeah. All right then, so here we have the other piece, which is the beams that run fore and aft, and maybe you can just barely see the scribe I'll put on here. Listen, if this is anywhere close, it'll be just fine. And I'm probably going to make this a little deeper to make it a little stronger, but I have to get 2 more of the regular bows out of this, so we'll see. But anyway, let's cut the initial arc and start there. Okay, and from there it's relatively straight. Okay, so I have the curve of the top edge of one of the beams. Now I don't know how thick, tall to make the beams yet, but I need 2 more bows out of this piece of wood. So if I sit this on here, basically somewhere there and here, and measure what I can do here, I have just over 4 inches, which means I can make 2-inch tall side beams, which gives me a little more strength there. So I'm happy about that. Excellent. Okay, set the ripping guide for 2 inches now. Now I should point out all these measurements are nominal, so I don't have to account for the kerf. I'm just measuring to the center line of the blade, each time. Okay, let's take a couple of these off. That's it for that battery. All right then, while we're waiting for batteries to charge up a bit, let's beautify these bows a little bit with my favorite beautification technique, which is throwing a chamfer on with the power planer. Now, if you're new to the channel and you're unfamiliar with my favorite way of making wood beautiful, kind of a joke. This is a Makita power plane. I'm not sure if every power plane does it, but this little groove at the front, this chamfer, allows you to sit it at a 45-degree angle and very quickly and neatly put a little 45-degree chamfer on the edge of what you're cutting, way quicker than routing or anything else in the world, especially, you know, if you're looking for something sort of quick. And that's what I'm looking for. Oh, love it. Okay, then while waiting for batteries to charge, I ran back to the hardware store and got another piece of wood because somehow I thought there'd be enough bits left over to make the posts out of, but yeah, anyway. So these are the 2 main beams that I've now cut out, and what I need to do is put a chamfer on the top of them because, of course, those beams are carrying the bows, which are curved, and it comes to about 7 degrees, and I'm going to call that about as much as I can put a tiny little scribe on here with my thumb and the pencil, which I'll plane out with the power planer. All right, I think that worked out really well. So both of the tops are now beveled slightly. I'll have to fine tune that after, I'm pretty sure. Now, just like the bows, I want to chamfer at least the bottom edges of this. Anyway, let's see how this works. Absolutely perfect. I'm loving it. Okay, so this is the end of one of the bows. This is the top, and now I mentioned I'm going to put a little detail on the end here, a little curve here and there, and that'll compensate for this one being a little cut off. So this is the benchmark. In other words, whatever I do has to work from this one. So I'm just going to kind of freehand a little curvy thing in here. We'll see if I can make that work with the jigsaw. There we go. That's going to need a little tidying with sanding, but that'll do quite nicely. So now that I got one nice, I'll just trace it onto all the other ones. And again, this is a very, very rudimentary little curve, not very exotic. Okay. And that's it. Many hours of cutting, sanding, chamfering. It's awesome. Okay then, it's done and I've cleaned up. I have 4 uprights chamfered and ready to go. 2 beams chamfered and little nice roundies on the end, and I have 7 what I will call bows, excuse me for spinning you around, all nicely detailed at the end. And now I'm going to sit down and rub some stain onto them. This is Douglas fir, not an ideal stain candidate, but I'm trying to do something that looks semi-reasonable, even though it's a mock-up and it's temporary. Temporary has become... Did I use temporary as a word of the week yet? Anyway, it's a proof of concept. If it sort of looks okay and seems to suit the boat, I'll make another one in mahogany or teak someday. Anyway, in the meantime, let's get some stain on. Oh, it's pretty red. Yeah, okay, gonna have to use my super blend. Okay, so for those of you aware, this is the blend of stains, and I honestly today have forgotten what they are, which seem to me to closest match the mahogany inside the boat. But there's not that much left, so I'm gonna have to throw some of this red Sonoma, whatever in, but it can't be that red. Can't do that red. Can't do that red. Okay, more gloves. Ah well. That's better. Alright, with a little space liberated here, it's going to move some stuff around. First things is to remove this old antenna, which will be in the way along with this remnant of the old bimini. Okay, straightforward stuff. Pianos have got warm in a hurry. Okay, so now for the posts. Got a couple options here. They can either go just straight vertical right in about this location, which looks a little awkward with the curves of the windshield and stuff like that, but really, Peter, temporary, remember? Anyway, the other option is to make it parallel with the windshield frame, in like that, and then it'll look a little tidier perhaps around the window, but maybe this extreme slope coming up is not really so ideal, and of course it's not as structural. So I think I'm going to at least start with this option. Of course, it's very, very simple. The neat thing about it is that even with the bimini in place, I can change the feet arrangement later, but will I? No. So as we move back, I'm probably going to put it at this location, and the little steel stanchions are not vertical stainless steel, so I'm going to have to figure some way, and frankly it may be zip straps, at least for now, to mount that there as we start to get this all in alignment. I know you're saying, Peter, a level on a boat? Fore and aft, a level was actually relatively meaningful. Reasonably meaningful. Alright then, so back here, obviously in time, if this is what works out, I'll have to make a little clearance on the bottom to fit over these screws. But again, for now, I'm just looking at getting it upright. And yeah, that is accomplished today by zip straps. Zip, zap, I don't know what everyone calls these. That will definitely suffice for now. Yeah. It didn't fall in. Okay, I'm really starting to like this. Like the curve, like the shape. I'm gonna play with the overhangs a little bit to find the perfect aesthetic. I wanted a little more at the aft end. Yeah, cool. Looks kind of big from here. I mean, really big. But it's just a matter of getting used to it, right? Okay, time to mark off. Check for verticality. Verticality is still good. Mark for location, and we have to mark this to scribe just about like that. Excellent. Yeah. Okay, so these are the main beams down, and there's the marks. So I'm going to put some nice, big, meaty stainless steel screws in here, which I need to drill counterbores for. Okay. Because I'd like to think I'm not making a complete hack of this project, I am going to pre-drill just like any proper carpenter would. I'm not really making you watch all this, am I? There we go. Beauty. Maybe someday I'll actually put a bung in there. Maybe. Now I want to point out something that I'm a little ashamed of. When I build something like this and I put a chamfer on, I always stop the chamfer before I get to a connection, because that doesn't look right. However, in the spirit of doing this quick and dirty, and I didn't know where this was going to sit until I put it all together, I couldn't really do that. I hope I can forgive myself. Well, I've marked off on 2-foot centers for the bows, so now I'm just going to drill from below for the screws that will hold the bows on. The last one is right on the end, so it's a little bit precarious. Okay, now, so this is exciting, actually installing a bow. Now, the trick is, there's an overhang, and I got to make sure the overhang is the same on both sides. And I've gone to some trouble to make sure that these are vertical this way with some shims. I didn't bother showing you, it was a bit crude. But I measured from the start, and the aft post and the forward posts are within 1/4 of an inch of the same distance apart. So, and they're relatively vertical, so I'm going to force them basically into place with the bows themselves. So what I have to do now is just determine how much the basic overhang is, and then zip some screws in. Now, some of you will be wondering about the actual cloth I'm putting on. I think I mentioned it's just a painter's drop cloth, very, very cheap and economical. But I don't know how it's going to stretch. So it's 9 feet by 12 feet. And the bows are 9 feet long, and the beams are 12 feet long plus about an inch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to attach it to the bow at the front, and then I'm going to pull the back bow back, hoping that when I fold it over the edge, you'll see. Yeah, there's no sense explaining it, because in 2 minutes you're going to watch me do it. I just don't know how I'm going to do it yet. Okay. Tape measure, screws. 11 1/4. I realize I'm building a pergola, a lightweight pergola. Frankly, standing down on the dock, it looks huge. It could be slightly lower, but not that much, right? I don't know. Now that the beams are all aligned, the remaining bows can just be put on and set for their 11 1/4, and should all line up pretty well. Okay, now of course the last one or the first one or whatever is a bit of an unknown, because of course I don't know how it's going to stretch, but all I can do is get started and see what happens. Well, I really know what to think. From here, I think it's gorgeous. However, I'm a little worried from the dock, it's going to look huge. It's getting big. Oh my God. I don't know. All right then, so here is the drop cloth, which frankly, if this works at all, this is a lovely texture and color. It does have a, says it's a beautiful waterproof inner layer. Feels like saran wrap to me, but who knows. Anyway, I would love to see this side down, so this is what I'd be looking at, but I really think the UV damage on this stuff would be severe, so I'll put it plastic down. Yeah. Anyway, it's all hemmed, and I mean, this might work out great, but who knows. So, to assist me in temporarily attaching it, I'm going to use a handful of these fabulous vice grip clamps that were recently gifted to me. Stick around to the end of the episode, and I will properly thank for those. So, okay, let's just do it, right? All right then, wish me luck. You know what? I feel the cool already. It's fantastic. Okay, so... Okay. Okay. So far, so good. I'm loving the shade. Right there. And there. I've got one more clamp somewhere here. All right, lots to be done yet, but this is the general feel of it, and I'm telling you, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Now, will it look gargantuan from down here? Well, yes, I expect it probably will. Is it the kind of thing I'll get used to? I like it. It's huge. I seem to have a spacing irregularity going on over there. To fix that. So my intention was to attach the canvas to the bows with little stainless steel, I don't know if you can see them, round head screws and fender washers, which may be just fine. I'm going to start with this and see how it goes. The other big unknown is how much is this going to stretch. It may stretch a lot immediately, in which case I'll have to shift everything. So there's nothing to do but get started, and I have to be able to walk up there, so I'm gonna move a bunch of stuff around. So you guys go have a tea break or whatever kind of break you want. Okay, so in principle this should be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to screw straight through the cloth right at the hem, which makes it a little extra strong, right? All right, now that actually feels like it's going to be great. Okay, I'm liking this. Let's carry on. Now dead center about here and about the same position. If this actually turns out to be this easy. I know some of you are saying, I've been there, done that, Peter, you're going to be sorry. If this sort of starts to work, I'll obviously put in quite a few more. Now I can tell you right off the bat, putting them in up here is a lot easier than it's going to be at the aft end because it's hanging in space. Don't fall, don't drop stuff in the ocean. Oh, yeah! Okay, with the front and back bows attached, now it's the sides, in other words, the side of each one of these. The trick is to guess how much tension to put on each side to get it centered and how much tension to put on it to accommodate with future stretch. And you know, I have really no idea what I'm doing, other than the freaky fact that this is sort of working. Well, there we go, a day's work, actually less than a day's work. Now it's not done. I'm going to put some little brackets in here, but I gotta think about them a little bit. Well, hello and welcome to the Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week. Here we are underneath the new bimini. Can I even call it a bimini? Anyway, the new canopy. I expected it largely for sun, but lately it's been rather valuable for rain. It was absolutely teeming a little while ago, and it's bone dry under here. That butyl-backed canvas works really, really well. Okay, let's get straight to the beer. Really excited about this. This is from Steamworks in Vancouver. It's their barrel-aged Series 2018 Scarlet Red Rye Ale. This might be really fantastic, and I know some people who may also be interested in this who live in Vancouver. So let's see how this pours. Oh, it's really starting to come down again. Oh, wouldn't say it's very red. A little bit. Okay. Oh, I love being outside in the rain, actually. What would really make this perfect would be a thunder and lightning storm, which are very uncommon on the West Coast, but I really miss them from back east. Okay. Scarlet from Steamworks. Wow. Barrel aged. Wow, that is really neat. I honestly don't know how to describe it. It's barrel-aged beer, so it has a really sharp, extra rich, distilled almost flavor to it, because of course it's probably aged in a barrel that had whiskey in it. Wow, very yummy. That's a sipping beer if ever there was one. Wow, okay, so we got a lot to get through. I gotta say, folks, unbelievable generosity again this week, and it blows me away, because in addition to all the kind support I've gotten through PayPal, Amazon, stuff like that, I've received quite a number of very nice lengthy letters recently about how the show is meaningful for them, and that means so much to me. I just love the concept of making and fixing things together. I just love working with my hands, and I love people who appreciate that, and I've sensed a lot of that lately. Thank you all. Okay, so we have some new patrons. Sean Krager, David Chestnut, William Black, Mike Van, Russell Payson, and my goodness gracious, Dylan Haynes, my oldest friend from when I was a tiny child back in Westmount, has very kindly decided to patronize me on YouTube. Well, how about that, Dylan? And thank you to all of you. I couldn't do this without you. I'm so very grateful. Cheers. Wow, that is yummy beer. Also, off the Amazon wish list this week, gotta start with this thing. This is called the Media Mod. Now, I'm not going to do it because you're watching me on the GoPro, but you'll see it in times coming. This snaps around the GoPro camera, and what it does is it adds a wind protecting shotgun mic to it, because I've had a lot of wind noise issues, so I really wanted to try this. And you may have noticed that in this most recent episode, all the work up here on the bridge deck was in very windy weather. You just need to look at my hair, and the wind noise was substantially reduced. So this is a winner. Super pleased with that. This does a bunch of other things. It has a couple of shoes on it, which means I can toss in my photo flood, and in the side I would be able to slide in the receiver for a remote mic. When I do that, has some nice connections in the back for more media as well. Anyway, this thing is really exciting. I'm so thrilled to have it. And that came, and I just dropped it on the floor. Anyway, that came from Susan and Keith Meldal, who have been very kind. Thank you so much. Also this week, a super nice marine weatherized push button, which will be one of the start buttons for the boat. Really excited about this, as well as a package of 5-inch Abranet sandpaper. Now, this stuff is really awesome. I'm going to go on about that in a minute. And that came from David Groth. Thank you so much, David. Another box of Abranet. Now, again, I want to go on about this stuff a little bit. And now, I learned about this stuff. I'm going to open the other box, which is already open. From Mads on Sail Life. This is sandpaper for sanding disc sanders, but it is a net. It's somewhat open mesh, which means it can work incredibly effectively at dust removal. Now, if you watch the episodes on the most recent haul out, we use it on the sanding the bottom paint, and it's about 99% effective with dust removal, which I find just really impressive. I learned about it again from Mads on Sail Life. And the other box of Abranet came from Steve Kalnick. Thank you ever so much, Steve. Now, a couple people checked in with me because you might have remembered last week. I didn't know who sent a couple of things. One was the quart of Epiphane's varnish, and that came from Russell Tricky. And thanks so much, Russell. And the dovetail jig, bless it, came from Rob Kaimakas. And both of them reached out and let me know. Now, I didn't hear back from anyone who sent me the little motorized car slider. So if you're still out there, I would be very happy to thank you for that. Now, I mean, another thing came in completely unrequested, just out of the blue. A handful of my favorite little vice grip clamps, and they're just a treat. In fact, they were used in this episode quite a bit, as you may remember, and they came from Christopher Cahill. Thank you extra Christopher. And so let me cheers to all of you about that. Wow, just amazing. And the last thing for today, you need a word of the week, don't you? And that word will be temporary. I think I might have mentioned it while putting this together. I can't believe I've never used it before. So the word of the week is temporary, and that is in case you'd like to win a Travels with Geordie t-shirt. So if you would like to win a Travels with Geordie t-shirt, if you don't know the drill, use the word temporary in a comment down below, and I'll pick at random from the first 24 hours worth of comments, and if you pick your comment, you will win a Travels with Geordie t-shirt. Cheers, see you next week. I like this.